Hi everyone, this is Sarfraz from Aristotle Prep, and we are looking at question 115 from the OG13 Critical Reasoning chapter. So, a guidebook writer is saying, I have visited hotels throughout the country and have noticed that in those built before 1930, the quality of the original carpentry work is generally superior to that in hotels built afterward. That is something this person has observed. Clearly, carpenters working on hotels before 1930 typically worked with more skill, care, and effort than carpenters who have worked on hotels built subsequently. So, from that observation, the writer has concluded that carpenters used to work with more skill and precision before 1930 than they do after 1930. This is a classic question testing you on the concept of representativeness. In case you don't know what that is, please look up in the critical reasoning rail book. So representativeness, how is it being used here? You see, the writer is assuming that the hotels he has seen, the hotels from before 1930 and the hotels after 1930, are representative of all hotels of that particular time period. That is what he's assuming. What if that is not the case? What if the hotels that he's observed before 1930, from before 1930, what if they are exceptions? They are not representative of all hotels of that time. They're actually exceptions. Maybe they were exceptionally strong, which is why they're still standing. But the other hotels, which were not as strong, may have fallen down. But we have no information about the other hotels. So we are assuming that these hotels are representative of all hotels of that time. That may or may not be the case. So that is where representativeness comes into the picture. Now this is a weekend question. So you have to somehow show that the hotels that he's observed from before 1930 or from after 1930 may not be representative of that particular era. That would be the answer to the question. So you see, if you understand arguments in this manner, as if like whether it's a causality or whether it's a representativeness, it becomes much easier because you are much clearer on the answer and you already know what your answer will look like. So let's go through the options. A says the quality of original carpentry in hotels is generally far superior to the quality of original carpentry in other structures irrelevant outside the scope. B says hotels built since 1930 can generally accommodate more guests than those built before 1930. Makes no difference to the argument. The quality of workmanship still stands. So B doesn't weaken the argument. C says the materials available to carpenters working before 1930 were not significantly different in quality from the materials available to carpenters working after 1930. If anything, it could strengthen the argument by saying that both the groups had the same material. So why is the earlier group performing much better? Because they were more skilled, maybe. So definitely does not weaken the argument. D says the better the quality of original carpentry in a building, the less likely that building is to fall into disuse and be demolished. It's a little convoluted in wording, but understand what it is saying. It is saying that the reason those buildings are standing from before 1930 could be the fact that the quality of carpentry is very good. And the buildings in which the quality of carpentry might have been bad, they would have already been demolished. And we don't know anything about those buildings. The argument says nothing about those buildings. So then it's possible that the reason the current buildings are standing from before 1930 is because they had strong carpentry, but from that we cannot generalize from all buildings of that time because we don't know how many have actually gone into disuse and have been demolished. So see, that is representativeness for you. That should be the answer to the question. As I said, it's not a very straight answer. It is a little convoluted in its wording, but you can easily eliminate the other options. For example, E now says the average length of apprenticeship for carpenters has declined since 1930, which could probably explain the lack of skill of modern carpenters of carpenters after 1930. But that is not the idea. We are not supposed to explain anything. We have to weaken the argument, and D is the only option that weakens the argument. And you will only get to that answer if you understand or if you realize that you are being tested on representativeness. Otherwise, it's a very difficult question and people keep struggling with it. On a difficulty scale of 1 to 5, this would be like a 4.5 or even a 5 if you ask me, because almost everybody gets it wrong. Have a nice day.